Hi friends, this is a different kind of video for me, and you may wonder why I'm speaking like this. It's something I've come across lately on the internet, and as with everything new, I'm curious. This is a video about ASMR, Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. Now you'd wonder, why did you go looking up ASMR on the internet? What was it about it that sparked your interest? The funny thing about it is, it's you, my subscribers. I've been told lately by many of you that my voice is very soothing, and not only that, some of you have said it would be very suitable for ASMR videos, which I had no idea what it was about until I looked it up. And as I mentioned, it's Autonomous Meridian Sensory Response. Now, a big long name for something very, very simple. When I looked up these videos on the internet, I noticed that everybody was whispering. Everybody that was doing the video or giving the video were whispering in a very soft voice, a calming voice, and they were doing mundane tasks like folding clothing or shaking little paper bag with little stones in it, making individual noises and speaking in a slow, soothing manner. And apparently this is what ASMR is all about. Some people who have great difficulties with sleeping and insomnia, they have turned to the internet for help, and this is where they've ended up, and many of them have found it works for them. So when they go to bed, they turn on one of these, or they listen to them in their earphones, and it's a person's, you can male or female, soothing voice, just talking slowly, not really telling you to relax, but just continuous slow talk and doing mundane topics. And apparently this sends them off to sleep. So that's why the soft voice is there today. I'm mimicking them, even though many of them actually whisper, which I did find a little bit frustrating, because I suppose then when you think about it, if somebody's whispering to you, you tune in extra hard and you pay extra attention to them, and thereby you're totally mindfully listening to what's being said. So it would probably work 10 times better than somebody speaking in a normal tone voice, or somebody speaking out clearly. Sometimes the voice can be a very harsh musical instrument, and you can hear people talking and they speak out really well and really clearly, but it can kind of grate on the nerves or grate on the mind some way. It's not that there's anything wrong with it, but it's just, I find the tone is just a little bit sharp. It's like if you hit a wrong key on a musical instrument. It's just that sort of a sensation that you'd like to speak to someone with a softer toned voice, or you like listening. That's what I should really be saying. You like listening to people who are able to speak in a musical, melodious, sort of soft toned voice. Now, I'm not saying that this is me in any way. I don't for 1 minute think I have an ASMR voice. I'm just responding to the lovely compliments that I have received, and thank you again for them. It's always nice when people compliment you for anything, even if it's just your voice. So I'm flattered, so thank you. But anyway, to get back to this ASMR, of course I had to find out more about it and what it was all about. And like me, I am so open to all ideas on the internet, to the weirdest, wackiest thing. I never rule anything out until I have investigated it thoroughly, tried it out, seen does it work. And I haven't tried the ASMR out. I've listened to a few of the videos, and yes, they're soothing, and yes, they're calming. Not sure though, I don't suffer, thankfully, with insomnia. I do have a little bit of difficulty falling to sleep. Once I do fall asleep, I generally sleep pretty well during the night. I waken a lot, but I do sleep pretty well. But when you think about it with babies, many of us had small children in a different life, in a different generation. And when they had difficulty sleeping, we all had little tricks. I know some children could not sleep unless the radio was turned on. And I know now in the modern age of technology, excuse the noise outside, Damien is making himself some tea. But in the modern age of technology, we now have MP3 players and CDs and all sorts of musical devices, toys with little nature sounds and water sounds that the children bring to bed, and they listen to these water sounds and nature sounds and sea sounds, and they go fast asleep. So there is merit to a sort of continual low humming noise. I remember when the children were small and I would turn on the vacuum and this would be one of the sounds that they would fall asleep, and when I would turn off the vacuum they might waken and cry. And I know some mothers that have put their children to sleep in front of washing machines in little chairs and sends them right off straight away. So there is merit in the idea that a low tone, whispering, soft, continual speaking voice can actually help you with sleep. Now some people would say it's boring you to sleep, it's so monotone and so so toneless and the topic is nonsense that you'd fall asleep. But you see, some people's minds are racing when they go to bed and they cannot quiet them. They're thinking of things that went on during the day, things that are going to happen tomorrow, things that may never happen. And if you focus on something like this, again, it's very similar to the mindfulness. If you can focus in on this and listen to this, it clears your mind. Straight away you're focusing on something different that doesn't worry you and doesn't concern you. So immediately you relax and it helps you to sleep. So if any of you out there are having difficulties with sleep and insomnia and issues like that, check them out on the internet. It's just capital letters ASMR, and again the big fancy name, Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. So basically it's the response of your body to an outside stimuli. So the outside stimuli, like I said, can be somebody's voice. It can also, unusually enough, be a simple tapping noise. I have seen some of them just and that's what the whole video consists of. And by you focusing on this continuous noise, it clears your head of your worries and you drift off to sleep. Now look, if it works and if you have problems that way, go with it, because in my opinion, even the wackiest ideas on the internet, if they work, go with them. And if they're not hurting anybody, go with them. So it's a very curious topic that I wanted to share with you, which I had discovered recently through you, my subscribers, and it's amazing what you do pick up on the internet. There is another phenomena attached to it that some people claim that this soothing noise or stimuli is so good for their mind and their intellect that they actually get a tingling sensation that starts at the top of their head and goes all the way down their body, and that this is a terribly relaxing sensation for them. Now this again might be a little bit outside the box for me, but if it happens, it happens. I do know that some people are more sensory aware than others, because my own son Damien, his sense of touch is terribly heightened. He's out there now going to play with these toys, but even as a baby, to touch him he would jolt and shiver. So I know his sense of touch is extremely heightened. His sense of hearing is also extremely heightened. It's probably all of his senses maybe are that bit more alert, shall we say, than the rest of us. And people like this probably do find it difficult to sleep and to wind down, and they probably also would benefit from ASMR and listening to these sounds if you could train them to do so. Because if you are suffering from sensory overload, you can imagine yourself the tension that would build up in your body. If you're hypersensitive to different things, it's not the ideal, because number one, somebody touching you for any reason can cause huge trauma. I know Damien now, his feet, you cannot touch his feet. He will not allow it, and if you try, he will suffer so much, even impending pain. It's not pain, but impending discomfort, that he will just move away. So there's a lot out there for sensory overload and for different things like that. Maybe some of you suffer with sensory overload. You see, we don't know, because what we are is what we're used to. So how are we to know that what we feel is different to what somebody else feels? But I do know there are people now who cannot bear noises too loud, or the television up too high, or lots of background noises, and I suppose I would be a little bit like that. I don't like the television up too loud, I don't like noises, and I do like quiet. So sensory overload and ASMR, maybe there's a link, maybe there's a cure, who knows. But anyways, I hope none of you have fallen asleep listening to my voice talking about my theories on ASMR and my ideas on it. Have a good night's sleep, everybody, and thanks again for watching. Take care. Bye. Hi friends, I'm making a different kind of video today. Hi friends, I bet you don't really know what I'm going to be talking about today. Okay, Danny? Just doing a little video here. I'm just doing a little video here. I'm going to go fry, and then we get the takeaway. Good testing, super. Good luck, it's a mess. Okay? Try and put it in here and say, what do you go for, alright?